don't like what somebody is saying, you have the right to react. Is that dangerous ground?
Vikram, certainly you have the right to react, but you have the right to react through intellectual engagement, through condemnation, through articles, through debates like this, through extremely vituperative speech if you want, but certainly not by physical assault. The problem is that today our governments have become completely prisoner to the idea of the sentiment, the popular sentiment. One is not interested in the popular sentiment. If people are upset about something, they are welcome to mobilize, they're welcome to take out rallies, they're welcome to speak. This is a democracy, you know.
Rahul, what Shoma says is if you don't like what somebody says, boycott the book, have candlelight processions, have non-candlelight processions, protest in whichever way you want to, but don't threaten violence against a person.
Well, in any civil society, especially in a democratic society, whoever has a stake in democracy will not resort to anti-democratic process of violence. However, the sentiments and emotions of people are not controlled by an individual or by an organization. Your rights and duties go hand in hand. If it is my right to have the privilege of freedom of speech, it is my duty to have due reasonable restriction on this right and exercise this right with due caution.
We are getting too restricted in this debate. If you slightly expand the debate. Okay. Now, why is it that books still continue to be banned in this country? Why is it that films cannot be released without being certified? No, 1 second.
Are you endorsing the ban or you're not?
As far as I am concerned, I am against any proscription of any literature, any film, any book. But will those who are so clamorous about the freedom of speech, about the right to free speech, will they also support the right that no book should be banned in this country?
Of Absolutely. That's
we
a
subscribe to that. We believe
you would
that.
agree that no book should be banned. Okay, now so let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. You're saying no book should be banned.
No.
Now, supposing I was to sit down and write a book, which is, I mean, I'm trying to think of the most obnoxious thing.
You think it's not been written in this country?
Some of them
book that you're imagining in your mind, you think that's not been written in this country and not distributed? Of course it is.
One of the pitfalls of democracy is that there are a lot of people who use democracy to destroy democracy. And that's what happens. You know, it's there in society. But the question arises, and let's not point fingers at people who also back their arguments up with landmines. But it's far more important to see as a society whether we can actually accommodate as many sentiments as possible in a civilized way. And unfortunately, the space is getting constricted, not necessarily because of what Shoma believes in, but I believe that people like Shoma are also responsible for actually constricting the society by imposing a certain regime of correctness.
You spend a fair amount of your time on Twitter. Anybody who's even espousing balanced views these days comes under a very strong...
Not least you and me.
Including you and me.
Can I point out?
You're in my views.
This society is beginning to become not only intolerant, but are beginning to misunderstand what constitutes political action.
And what constitutes obnoxious speech and what doesn't?
Shoma, one simple question. Do you personally support secession of Jammu and Kashmir?
Do I personally? I mean, you know, we'd have to have a long discussion about it. I certainly feel that we need to acknowledge that what the
No, I'm not. Acknowledge is another thing, but do you support it? Do you endorse it?
Yes, let me...
You ask
Why
me
doesn't he ask me?
on a complex issue.
Why don't you ask me? I'll answer it. I subscribe to right of self-determination of people.
Because your answer is yes.
There is
I know
absolutely.
that.
We know what your answer is, Gautam. You said it on a program with Kashmiris in the audience
You're
before.
making a serious mistake. Right of self-determination does not mean anything. Right of self-determination means only that people must be allowed to express what they believe in. And I think that is perfectly legitimate and reasonable.
Do you want to answer his question or no?
No, I'm going to answer his question. What is the interesting...
I really want to get this
why are we getting into this
It's not a debate in Kashmir, actually.
Because sometimes masquerading behind democratic rights also contains an endorsement of objectionability.
But that's your love.
But that's a part of life.
To whom?
That's part of life.